Hi, this is Angel Yates, and I did my test exploration on DIBELS Next. DIBELS Next is Dynamic Indicators for Basic Early Literacy Skills, dynamic meaning change, and indicators meaning signs. The authors of DIBELS is Ronald Good and Ruth Kaminsky, and they had collaboration through the University of Oregon. There's 3 different ways to get the DIBELS materials. You can go through the publisher, Voyager Learning, and you can receive all the materials and the directions, all the components that you need. And you can order them as a whole classroom, a whole school, or individually. You can use the online, the mobile to web, which goes on any handheld device. The MyClass system includes all the student materials, the online scoring data and reporting, which is absolutely amazing. It cuts down on a lot of time. You can also download for free DIBELS Next Assessment Manual and all the testing materials from the web address. Date published was 2002, 2003, revised 7/16/12. The purpose of DIBELS is to measure its measurements that help teachers and schools determine how students are performing on important reading skills. DIBELS stands for the Dynamic Indicators of Early Literacy Skills. These measures are designed for students in grades K through 6. DIBELS is a validated tool for screening and progress monitoring. It helps to identify students who may be at risk for reading difficulties, helps teachers identify areas to target instruction support, and monitors the at-risk students while they receive additional targeted instructions, and examines the effectiveness of your school system of your instructional support. So on the Amplifier on MyClass, there is a place to do district-wide, school-wide, or you could just be comparing. If you have 2 first grades, you could be comparing them. The normative summary. DIBELS is not designed to be a national norm reference test. The research states from which fidelity and reliability information was gathered were not intended to be a normative sample. Instead, the measures are designed to provide local normative comparisons. DIBELS were developed as the criterion-based measurement. Each measurement has a goal or benchmark that changes across time to ensure that the student's skills are developing in a manner predictive of continued success. Normative measures demonstrate that a student is performing in relation to the normative sample, regardless of whether that performance is predicted of further success. DIBELS is a valid tool for targeting instructional resources to those who need them most. DIBELS Next is designed for kindergarten through grade 6. I'm going to break down the DIBELS Next subtests, but just to give you the chart to show you that we'll be talking about first sem fluency, letter naming fluency, phoneme segmentation fluency, nonsense words fluency, DIBELS oral reading fluency, other known as DORF, and DAYS. And on the other side, you can see the grades that those tests would be appropriate for. First sem fluency assesses a student's fluency in identifying the initial sound within a spoken word. This is an indicator of the early phonemic awareness skills. It takes 1 minute to administer. We start it in grade K, and we usually go to the middle of grade K. Letter naming fluency is another 1 minute test to assess a student's fluency with naming letters. We begin in grade K and go to grade 1. And it's just assessing and measuring the student's ability to recognize the individual letters and to say their names. Phoneme segmenting fluency assesses a student's fluency in segmenting a spoken word into a component, parts, or sound segments. This early literacy skill is highly related to the reading acquisition and reading achievement. Is an indicator of early phonemic awareness skills. We begin it in kindergarten into the beginning of first grade, and another 1-minute test. Nonsense word fluency assesses a student's knowledge of basic letter sounds, correspondence, and the ability to blend letter sounds into words. It measures the alphabetic principles and the basic phonics. We begin in the middle of kindergarten and we continue until the beginning of second grade, and it's a 1-minute test. Dibble's Next oral reading fluency measures advanced phonics and word attack skills, accuracy, and fluency reading of connected text, and reading comprehension. DORF comprises of 2 components, the oral reading fluency of reading the passage, and then the retell after the passage. This test is the longest going test. The students will start it in grade 1 and they will advance into grade 6. The administration time of the reading the passage is 1 minute, and then the students have a minute of retell. Days is the only DIBELS test that can be done as a whole class. It starts in grade 3 and goes to grade 6. The time of the test is 3 minutes. It's an indicator of the reading comprehension. So the days measures the reasoning process that constitutes comprehension. It assesses a student's ability to construct meaning from text. Students read the passage and circle the word that makes the most sense. Reliability and fidelity. So the DIBEL procedures including the administration and scoring are standardized. That is, given and scored the same way each time for all students. So the key goal is that every single person that is touching those tests, or everybody has to be doing it with complete fidelity. Students who achieve the DIBELS benchmark goals have a higher probability of becoming readers than students who do not. Reliability coefficients are consistently high across all 3 forms of reliability. The magnitude of the coefficient suggests that DIBELS Next produces little test error and that the users can have confidence in the test results. With repeated assessments across multiple forms, reliability increases substantially. As noted, where the estimated 3-form reliability is reported. Fidelity. For a test to be valid, it means that the test is measuring the essential early literacy skills they are intended to measure. So DIBELS tests 4 skills that are necessary for learners to read: the phonemic awareness, the phonics, accuracy and fluency in reading, and reading comprehension. One option for fidelity scoring is to retest the students using alternative forms of the DIBELS measures. Types of DIBELS consists of a couple different scores. You have your raw score, then you find your composite score, and then you put your child in the percentile. Benchmark goals and cutoff points for risks are provided for the DIBELS composite score as well as for individual DIBELS measures. The DIBELS composite score is a combination of multiple DIBELS scores and provides the best overall estimate of the student's early literacy skills and/or reading proficiency. If a student achieves a benchmark goal, then the odds are in the favor of the student achieving later reading outcomes if he or she receives research-based instruction from core classroom curriculum. So this is a DIBELS scoring sheet from kindergarten, and I pulled kindergarten because that's where I am currently working, so I give this test often. I made an example of student A. So if first sound fluency, this is the beginning of the year benchmark, they received only 2 points for that. And letter, name, fluency, they only knew 10 letters within the 1 minute time. You just add those two and you get 12. And the same for student B. On this, it shows you the kindergarten DIBELS benchmark. So these are our measurements. This is where our students should be. We have our above, on or above benchmark, strategic, and intensive support. So this student A, if they received a comp score of 12, that would put them in the intense instruction. So we would be giving them lots of RTI support. We'd be testing them weekly or biweekly. For student B, they got strategic support. Their comp was 25, but they're at the very top of that. So we might, we'll watch them, and they may only get the progress monitoring every 3 weeks with the course support, but we would definitely be giving them what they're needing during their RTI time. These are the benchmark goals that the University of Oregon posted. So it's pretty much the same as the last slide I showed, but I like the color coding so you really knew exactly where the kids should be. But on this one, it gives you the recommended goal for each subtest. So you have the first sound fluency, the letter naming, and all the way down. And each one of these is provided for each grade level. So for accommodations, you don't generally see a lot of accommodations in our school. If a student is in special ed, you would be, usually some students will have DIBELS, but most students have an alternative assessment. But there is things available as large print. You can underline or use a ruler to go down through. But if you do anything than these approved accommodations, then DIBELS will not be valid or reliable.